What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are here for our Madden 26 franchise Vegas Raiders offseason part 3. We are live, just starting up the stream. People are rolling in ahead of Sunday Night Football. But in case you couldn't make it to the live stream, or you came in and out of the stream, didn't see the whole stream, that is what this video is for. It's going to be recapping everything that happens in Raiders offseason number 3. Kind of just talk through chat for the last half hour. Like, where do we need to go this year after we crashed and burned out of the playoffs in the AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills, which honestly is a game that you want the old Men in Black pen that just bing, and you forget everything and washes your brain, because that game was terrible. Let's focus on the offseason. Let's focus on locking in so that next year, year 4, is a Super Bowl year. We just kind of broke down the offense. And, where do we got to go free agency-wise? Where do we need to go draft-wise? Where do we maybe have some value that can help us out when it comes to the draft? Because we currently don't have a first-round pick. And when we take a look at the offense, the biggest thing is I don't want to mess with it too much. Our offense is very good. I don't really want to trade anyone on our offense. Like, I don't think anybody, myself included, would want to see us get rid of Deion Winters at tight end. We kind of like having that 1-2 punch. I don't think anyone wants to see if we can get value for Keaton Mitchell. We kind of like having him as our change of pace back. So I think it's going to be more so about additions versus subtractions to the offensive side of the ball. In regards to the offensive line, I think swing tackle is an important position for me, because when I play the game, sometimes I edit it out, but the right-hand side is consistently leaving the game due to injury. Between Rodgers and Grant, they drop like flies, so having that depth is going to be very important. And the closing point would be like maybe a backup quarterback. We could bring back Daniel Jones, but I assume Rodgers should probably retire. And I want to make sure we have a mentorship quarterback. So it could be Jones, but getting a backup quarterback will be important. But I think in terms of surplus, a player that we could see what kind of value's out there, maybe wait to the draft and can use him in a trade package to move up and be aggressive, is Jack Betch. 82 star dev wide receiver, only 24 years old, second year, still on his rookie deal. Good player. Like, if we had an injury crisis and we had to throw him out there, I don't think we would be too crushed. Now, we did try in our first preseason, way back in year 1, I tried him on the outside. Now, he's just not with that athletic, 89 speed, 92 acceleration. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be able to win consistently on the outside. He's just a tough yak monster over the middle. But we're kind of good there. We have Jameson Williams and Dante Thornton speed. We have Big Mitch in the slot. And while having this ridiculous depth, because he's on a rookie contract, so it has no real big effect on our salary cap, is smart, because we're one injury crisis away. We don't have a first-round pick, so we may have to give something to get something. I think offensively, Jack Betch could fit the bill. But mostly in chat, we were discussing the defense as the big position. It's the big red flag. We have a lot of issues stopping opposing teams. So the first thing I kind of broke it down a little bit. I don't know who's going to be available in free agency, but I think with our salary cap situation, if we'd all decide in chat that this should be an all-in year, we need to lock in and win that Super Bowl next year, we have enough salary cap to probably make a splash move on the defensive side of the ball. And, some names just from doing rebuilds that you sometimes commonly see in free agent, like an Aiden Hutchinson, like they absolutely could be signed already, and they won't hit the market. But like Aiden Hutchinson, I've seen some good corners, like a Sauce Gardner could become available, or like a Brian Branch at safety could become available. They'll all be very expensive players, but I think I'd be willing, especially on defense where we need the most help, to maybe not put ourselves in the best salary cap situation for next year and beyond that, to go get a guy this year. But overall, positions of need would be linebacker for sure. I just felt like at times didn't have enough speed. We got outpaced. I didn't know if that was wear and tear. I didn't know if that was fatigue with our players. But linebacker, we could get faster. Safety, we could get faster. Probably the number one player that it felt like got picked on, especially when it came time and place for a foot race. They were targeting Reed Blankenship. So good player. All these guys were relatively solid for us. But as far as play style, when you actually get in the games, just not what we need. And I think in Jeremy Chinn's case in particular too, once we sim an extra week, we're going to get hit with all that regression. I think Chinn, Jamal Adams in particular, those are guys that regularly see the field for us on defense. They're going to get hit pretty hard with regression, so we're going to need to help them out a little bit and address those positions. Linebacker and safety, that is the one position by the end of this draft and or free agency, overall in the offseason, we will fix. So we're going to take a look quickly at the Pro Bowl. made a lot of sense. You know, we're the best team that didn't make the Super Bowl, so our roster is featured pretty heavily. Kyle Clary is quarterback number 1. Ashton Jeanty at running back number 2. The Shermanator is fullback number 1. Maybe the surprise is we didn't have a single wide receiver make it. We had 4 wide receivers over 1,000 yards. Maybe that's why. One, you know, I think Dante Thornton not making it's kind of harsh, but maybe that's going to be extra motivation for that group next year. Brock Bowers is in at tight end 1. On the offensive line, our first-round pick, Falk, makes it as left guard 2. Jackson Powers-Johnson at center 1. We have Charles Grant starts at right tackle. Maxx Crosby starts at defensive end. We have no one at linebacker. Again, highlighting the need to kind of fix the linebacker spot. We have Reed Blankenship. This is kind of the funny thing. We just spent like half hour in chat talking like, man, these safeties, dude. We gotta fix this safety room. And then we go to the Pro Bowl. Reed Blankenship starting free safety. Jeremy Chin starting strong safety. Kind of funny, but maybe that will add value if we want to move someone in a different direction at that position. Get a little bit faster. Get a little bit better athlete. Hey, that should help their trade value, right? Pro Bowlers. And lastly, we did get Kitchens at returner with his 2 returning touchdowns. That was pretty sick. So at the end of the year, the Super Bowl. At least the Bills didn't win it. That feels pretty good. They fall 33-27 to the Green Bay Packers. A little annoying if you are watching this as like a Raider fan. Josh Jacobs wins Super Bowl MVP. It's a little close to home, but look at that. Yearly awards. Coach of the Year, Pat Phoenix. Offensive Player of the Year, and should be MVP, Ashton Jeanty. All right, we got to the retirement stage, and quite the development. I think everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to retire, which is good. But Sleepy Pete's gone, man. Pete Carroll retires, and he leaves us with the worst defense maybe in Raiders history, allowing 60 points. Ignore the offensive turnovers in the championship game. So we're going to be on the market now for a defensive coordinator. Kind of, I always like looking at the whole league here, so bear with me if you're not interested. I'll put the timestamps in. Amari Cooper retires after 13 years. A couple of years ago, we tried to bring him back and reunite. Garrett Bowles, starting tackle for the Broncos. Interesting. Justin Simmons retires after 12 years. Vita Vea and Mike Evans both are gone for the Bucs. That is considerable loss there. Cardinals, Trent Brown, Jalen Smith. Chris Jones is gone for the Chiefs. We're getting great roll for divisional opponents here. Chris Jones, we do not have to deal with that anymore. Let's go. Evan Ingram, Tunsil are gone. That's huge losses for the Commanders. Tyreek Hill has retired on the Dolphins for 12 years. Philly loses Dallas Goedert. Grady Jarrett signed there. Jake Matthews for the Falcons. George Kittle and Juszczyk, both gone for the 49ers. Shaq Thompson there to all the Panther OGs. They lost a lot on the offensive line there. 2 starters. We lose, yeah, obviously that. Geno's gone. Legend, man. Appreciate Geno. Everything he brought to this team. John Johnson, Taki, Turnstile, Taylor Moton. Houston Texans lose Christian Wilkins and Dalton Schultz. Shaq Griffin is gone for the Vikings. But man, oh man. You can make the argument Denver losing Garrett Bowles at left tackle and the Chiefs losing Chris Jones. Those are outstanding roles for us to go back next year and win the division again. All right, so now we have Sleepy Pete gone. We got to find a new DC in the monumental task of improving the number 32 defense. And for some reason, I got Barry Marsh. Tom Brady and the ownership here in Vegas said, we're going to get Barry Marsh. And to that I said, no thank you. I think we can do a little better than Barry Marsh. So let's see what we got here. Level 11, Emmanuel Ortega. Sammy Rios. We got Raheem Morris. Do we go with just like the real person? Kind of feel like we should just go with the real person. So let's bring in Raheem Morris. No, Owen Scott. That means someone hired away Kellen Moore? What? All right, so Kellen Moore's a mystery head coach somewhere. So I'm not going Owen Scott. I might honestly re-sign him again if he's the highest level. But let's see what we got here at OC. Do we have any dogs? Because that's what I want. Brandon Starks, then he's got Brian Warner. Like, who is the coolest name? Jose Flores, that could work. Daryl Gormley, that's an O-line coach. Do we have any real ones? I am partial. Oh, Daves? I'd be all right with Brian Dable. Read his backstory that Daves, I don't know if he was born in Canada, but he lived in Canada, so I always kind of liked him a little bit. And I think just from wanting all real coaches, we'll take Daves back, man. He's a guy that turned around Josh Allen. Got a lot of success for Josh Allen in Buffalo. Maybe he can do that with Kyle Clary. All right, so we solved the mystery. Kellen Moore has got his second stint as a head coach. He is now the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. But more frustratingly is we didn't even get first pick at like OCs. Like Kevin O'Connell hit the market. I would never, okay, we wouldn't bring in Murph from Impractical Jokers. That guy is trash. But like I would have brought in Mike McDaniel in a heartbeat, even with Dable on the market. The fact I had to wait, slim pickings, that's unfair. All right, we got our staff improved. Look at Brian Dable. Look how low that's going there. Like, you're seeing a lot of chest. Dave looks cute. I'm telling you right now, we're gonna have to air it out, but I love Dave's just kind of standing weirdly behind plants, like he's trying to hide. He's like, he wasn't too sure if he should have been here. We are gonna want to protect the edges again. That's what we're gonna want to work on. But man, I love Dave's coming in here. Like, we need to almost trade for. I'll tell you something that I did find out that was kind of weird. Is someone said he looks like a lawn gnome. It's just funny. Scatabo, I was like going to go see like what his rating is. He got traded. He's like the successor for Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco right now. It's like, do we get a Scatabo type for old Brian Dable now at OC? But I'm happy that Dave's immediately after hiring him is going to awkwardly stand in Pat Phoenix's office behind the bushes between two ferns and just say, how can I get better for you this offseason? I love that commitment. All right, so we got free agency here. Kind of talking through chat quickly because I really want to get right into the old offseason. We're going to decline the option on Ashton Jeanty because we run a high-level program here, so that means we got to get ahead of deals, and we're going to pay them. We're going to reward our players. So we're going to give Jeanty his big-time contract extension next year because we do what's right, and that's how I'm going to run this franchise. But outside of that, we have definitely a lot of players. I'm happy that a lot of these guys want to come back. A lot of these guys bought into this project, but you know, Cameron Williams would be sick. Not $22 million sick. We talked about Dylan Parham because he's very valuable to this team, but almost $9 million for a backup guard. That's a brutal price point for a 29-year-old. So I'm thinking we probably try to get cheaper, but this now means on our list of needs, we're losing our guard that can play, you know, left and right guard easily. We're losing our swing tackle. We have to get offensive line depth because out of all of our positions, the one that's the most revolving door of like wear and tear and constantly in and out of the lineup and missing a game or two is the offensive line. But I think we should be good there. Like Isaiah Simmons has regressed quite a bit. I'm not going to rule out maybe bringing back Daniel Jones on the open market to be that mentorship quarterback so we get that XP boost. But, you know, we've done a really good job with our roster and salary cap so that this is not that big of a deal. It's not painful. We're you know, really losing replaceable players for the most part. So to start the offseason, we progressed enough to take a look at some dev traits. Offensively, no dev traits up or down. We're really expecting too much. Except, oh, I don't know. The quarterback, Kyle Clary, is now a superstar X Factor. He gets it potentially off of being the NFL passer rating leader, which is kind of funny. But a free X Factor, well, I'm not going to say it's free. We earned it. Threw a couple picks. Yeah. But, I mean, serious question now, like, who's going to get the X Factor? We probably going to get rid of Brock Bowers' X Factor. You can only have 3 enabled. Definitely need to get Kyle Clary's going, but that will be for the end of this video. I thought, you know, maybe J-Mo could have gone up to a superstar. Maybe that'll be a challenge for us to get him a couple more targets, maybe a couple more garbage time scores to know that we really want to get him to superstar and get some of those fast superstar abilities going. But we only had the one dev trade increase on offense. Defensively, well, we lose the superstar dev on Jamal Adams. That's Father Time. That was kind of always expected. But I thought Father Time was going to hit Jeremy Chin. And now suddenly Jeremy Chin goes from let's replace both safeties to like, you know, I don't know. He's still 6'3", 220, gained a superstar dev, still has 91 speed, 91 acceleration. There's not a lot better athletes in today's NFL that we could get, we could trade for, we could sign, we could draft that's going to have that athletic profile. So as much as it pains me as a Philadelphia Eagle fan, you know, maybe Reed's like a free safety is where we need to upgrade, and we got to go look elsewhere. But wrapping up on the defense, Bryce Kirkland, who hit a superstar dev trade in season, becomes a superstar X Factor as well. Bizarre, man. Last, I don't know, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago when we did offseason number 2, we ended the offseason without having that first-round pick for this upcoming draft. And we're talking about what players could we potentially trade to get a first-round pick. Kirkland was like our best, most valuable type player to, you know, give something to get something. He's kind of undeniable at this point. Dude, this is an absolute stud and an integral part of this team. Can't let him go. All right, so the first wave of free agency, the bad news, and I'm going to save you the time of going through position by position. The best player far and away is Jahmyr Gibbs. And in a year that I'm desperate, I would be willing to like bring in maybe an unnecessary big-time player. Not a good role. Not a good role for me to kind of puff it. We talked about Zach Bond, the bald eagle. As an Eagle fan, I'd love to bring him back. But I went with Reed Blankenship, kind of sprinkling in a little of my Eagles fandom here on the Raiders series. And Reed Blankenship's kind of an issue right now. He's kind of like the slow guy that gets picked on. So bringing Zach Bond, yes, he's, you know, a veteran win now, X Factor, but I guarantee you that 84 speed, something, you know, something would happen. I'd be ripping his lack of speed. So we've kind of gone through, and we've had some people chat say, like, we could maybe cheese a Deion Dawkins because we do need a swing tackle. I don't really want to do that because what I'd rather do is we have on this other side here, Mr. Estes at tackle. That looks pretty dang good that we could hit with, like, let's get him on a 3-year. I don't know where that's going to put us. We'll round it up there a little bit. That's an awesome developmental swing tackle, even though some of these swing tackle cheeses, look at the strength. 82, 78, 82, not great. But I want to look at Estes. We're going to look at him at right tackle. I'm going to look at, I got Herrera at center. But he's a guy last year when we did and wanted to go look at the UDFAs after the draft. He was like the #1 player in chat, like, go get that center, go get that center. Because we didn't have first swing of the UDFAs, he signed, I think he went to Atlanta. But he's a guy that I want, it feels right. And at least we can get kind of 2 depth guys there. Linebacker was the other position of need. It's not a good role. Like, we have some people, like, and I like Trevin Wallace. I mean, he's a good athlete, 89 speed, 80 acceleration. But, I mean, there's no dev trait there. He's not cheap. I kind of feel like I almost want to gamble that I can get, like, I can go get, like, a 4-4, like, the fastest linebacker in the draft. Could be a little bit comparable and not at that price point. But I am, you know, some people are behind Trevin Wallace being a signing for us. Others, not so much. Corner room, not great. Not a great role, which kind of sucks. We were kind of gassing up a pitcher like, oh, maybe Sauce Gardner. I've seen him in rebuilds be available around this time. Did not get that role. We need speed. So, like, Tariq still, 89 speed, ain't going to cut it. A lot of guys there, sub-90s, ain't going to cut it. Safety room is not particularly great, but the one player I think we might make an investment in, because it's not a crazy investment. And like, at worst, Tyke Smith can play safety, he can play nickel. He's a very versatile defensive back. Originally, he was a ball hawk at West Virginia, went to Georgia. But he has, you know, 27, 81, star dev. That's a win now player. Great athleticism, 90 speed, 92 acceleration. So, like, regardless of how the depth chart plays out, I'd rather get, like, that $7 million contract to go to Tyke Smith over a Trevin Wallace, just because Smith can play, and if he finds his way on the field because of fatigue or injury, I feel really, really confident with him going out there. So those are going to be really our only targets in the first wave. The other one was, do we do this? Zero. There will be, I promise you, absolutely promise you, there will be 0 quarterback contract. I'm not, as a Gator fan, a fan of Anthony Richardson, going to sign him to shoehorn him in as like, oh, a couple bad games for Kyle Clary. Like, no. But I think it'd be pretty cool to have him on the roster in case of an injury. And I think if there's no injury, could we have a little bit of fun with Anthony Richardson? He's not looking for a crazy contract. 6.99. Could we maybe consider him Taysom Hill? Could we maybe consider him a little bit of a weapon? Could we just say, screw it, get a little bit bored, move him to tight end? You know, get him involved. Move him to linebacker. Why not? So I'm kind of thinking, just to like, that is incredibly reasonable for a backup quarterback. I do have Dylan Gabriel on the roster, poached him at the P squad. He has 83 throw power. That's a non-starter. And I do feel like we're going to lowball him. I don't want to get in a pissing match to try to get Anthony Richardson. We didn't go with a crazy offer, but there's no other bids. I think we will welcome this monster, this freak of nature athlete on the team. So this is what we're looking at for free agency right now. First wave, feel pretty good. Let's see. Oh, we got all of them. Let's go. We get our potential swing tackle. We get great depth on the interior of the O-line. Even though, I mean, Herrera is 291, so it's not like I can kind of utilize him like Parham, have him play multiple positions. But we have our swing tackle. We have O-line depth. Still need to get a guard. I think we could probably look towards free agency at that point. We get just a backup quarterback and a fun athlete to have on offense. And then we get our top target overall, I think, on defense in a pretty meh to like not good at all free agency role. I think Tyke Smith, either as a starter, spot starter, depth, whatever he ends up doing, is going to be a nice player to have on our defense. But it takes two to tangle. I was willing to have a crazy free agency period. I was willing to spend needlessly to try to get this team over the hump so that year 4 can be our year to go win a Super Bowl. But takes two to tango. The league didn't want to tango. We were looking for where Kellen Moore went. I was going through the league transactions, and Cooper DeJean just got signed by the Eagles. I would have paid $1 trillion. I would have given him a blank check to get Cooper DeJean on our Raiders team. But got to be happy with this class. But is this a class that moves the needle for this Raiders team to go win a Super Bowl? Probably not, which means the pressure now comes on the draft, where we don't have a first-round pick, to making every pick, assuming we don't trade for another first, we have to hit. All right, so before, free agency sucked. And I think I kind of adopted this in our rebuilds, because rebuilds free agency has also been not great. And comes a certain point in time when you have like almost $100 million in salary cap, and no one to spend it on except your own players, that like trading is like kind of the only way to get ahead. So this is a trade that we made. I put Jack Betch, who's probably our best trade piece. I put Reed Blankenship, who's made the Pro Bowl. That is a Pro Bowl season player, but just doesn't fit what we, he's at his prime. He's at his peak, 84. But he's a Pro Bowl player. We're selling high on his value. But we got to get faster. And then Javon Dexter was I saw people in chat saying, don't even throw him in here. If I'm making a trade, I always want to overpay, because that's like at least the one thing I can live with is people saying you overpaid too much versus people saying this is stupid, you cheese the system or whatever. So what I did is we put Jack Betch, Javon Dexter, Reed Blankenship on the trade block, and we looked at all the players we could potentially get. We got some real interesting offers. Jahdae Barron, former first-round pick from the Broncos, was there. We had Riley Moss. Took a lot not to go Riley Moss. He's now a superstar corner down in Miami. But we're going to go with a little bit of lore, because way back when during our first draft, Raekwon Sweeney was one of the corners we were heavily considering. He was a corner that was mocked to us throughout that cycle. He ended up going to the Browns. He has 95 speed. He's not like 6'3", 6'4". He is 5'11", but he has 95. We have to get faster across the board at linebacker, at safety, at corner. Speed. So the fact that he was included, that's all right. I don't really want to try to justify why the Browns want to move on from him. But if that's the trade, and I'm going to be giving you 4 starters. Jack Betch is wide receiver 2 on the Browns. Javon Dexter is D tackle 2, a starter right next to Mason Graham on that defensive line. Reed Blankenship is a starter for them at free safety. So I was like, okay, how else can we make this make sense? Well, I don't have a first-round pick in this upcoming draft. I'm a little bit bummed out. I don't really have the ammunition to want to trade up into the first round if there's a player that we really, really want. So I wanted to try to find a way to get the best pick possible. There's no way the Browns pick 1-1. They have the first overall pick. They would not put that in this trade. But we were able to get the first pick of the second round, which almost as good as the first. To get that one across the line, we had to look way down the line, 2 years' time to 2030, getting a second and fourth up to make that make sense. But for the Browns, team that was the first overall, they need a lot of things to get going. And Javon Dexter and Jack Betch both have their best football ahead of them. They're nowhere near their ceiling yet. Reed Blankenship's kind of a win-now player, but he's a Pro Bowler. We gave up some future good picks for them. They're just beginning their journey. It's a good trade. So we're going to wait till after the draft till we figure out who's going to play where. But here's the newest Raider who definitely needs a new jersey number. Raekwon Sweeney out of the U. 5'11", 185 pounds, man-to-man corner. Decent tackling, like we've had some corners, Darian Porter in particular, that had real bad tackling, but look at that speed. 95 speed, 93 acceleration. Agility could be a little better, could be a little bit more explosive in that department, but that 89 man coverage, we live and die in the man coverage. That is a very good player. That is I'll make that trade almost every day of the week. And hey, now we got those 2 second-round picks. We have a little bit of ammunition to be aggressive if there's a player that we have to go get, and or we have 2 second-round picks. I can do a lot of damage with those 2 second-round picks. So taking a quick look at free agency and where the top names went. Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime that they come to your conference, it's always a little annoying. He goes to the Jets. Joe Milton is a Miami Dolphin. We got Anthony Richardson. That's pretty sick. The quarterbacks are still out there, man. Tanner McKee, Spencer Rattler. He's looked halfway decent. Jonathan Brooks goes back to the Panthers. We have Stephon Diggs still available. Cortland Sutton still available. Chris Godwin's a Viking. Debo going to the Dolphins, just throwing around money. Reckless abandon. Canadian Theo Johnson goes to the Patriots. Deion Dawkins is a Brown. Cooper Beebe goes to the Falcons. Pooney to the Titans. He's probably one of the top free agents this year. Oh, is Parham still available? Okay. Keep that in mind right there. John Grenard to the Jags. Nealon, the superstar, to the Jets. The Jets are definitely the team that's trying to be the most aggressive and just buying their way to a deep playoff run. Rashawn Gary's still on the market. Zach Bond to the Jags. We have Trevin Wallace, who was a player that's probably the only guy that maybe we could have thrown a bid on. He ends up going to the Falcons. In the secondary, Tarheeb Steele on the Panthers. Lattimore to the Bears. Trevon Diggs to the Vikings. Pepper's back. There we got Newbin to the Patriots. And of course, we signed Tyke Smith. I mean, just not a crazy free agent period, but certainly the Jets seem pretty interesting going into next year. Because they got Offensive Rookie of the Year, their quarterback. All right, so we just kind of did a deep dive of the draft class over here on stream. And here kind of the vibes. It's like offensively, we're not going to be using, because we get our 3 focus scouts, any of our premier picks are not going offense. If there's a fun developmental quarterback, if there's like a super fast running back available late, shout out Blake Woods for the brand, we could consider, like, we don't need fullback. I did get some scouting on wide receiver, just because I got the all tier 3 scouts, and we have potentially stud here, Jamichael Burns out of Oklahoma, 5'9", 195. Don't need help at wide receiver, but you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. He looks real good. Tight end, we're good. Offensive line, depth for the most part. We have a couple nice looking, like Jesse Silva here at center is a UDFA grade player that is a pass block. His pass block's really good. We have at right guard a couple nice looking studs here as well. Ezekiel Randall out of Virginia. We got some A pass blocks. We got an B pass block, B run block on a Ben Foster. This Wagner guy looks. There's some good looking guards, and we're definitely going to be in the market. But again, those aren't going to be focus scout players. Defensively on the line, not really interested in adding a whole lot more to our pass rush. I feel pretty good about that. We had a tier 3 scout at D tackle, and I will say maybe a little bit of a bummer is like it didn't give us full scouting on like an absolute steal, which maybe we could just play the law of averages and get one of these nose tackle cheeses if we want to. But I feel pretty good there. Linebackers where we need help. This is where we set our scouts to go do their work. We have Jerry Sullivan here, first, second round talent. Cole Rogers, first, second round talent. Hardy was a guy in chat that liked the A pursuit. A tackle, late round player that we could go get if we really want to. The bummer, I guess, of this is like these guys, we want athletes. I want freak athletes, if you will. And these guys are, I mean, it's good. Like, there's no 4-4 guy in this class. But, they look solid. But they're not that, like, clear round 1 talent. That's the guy we want. So we are going to take a look here. And we're going to get Seth Thigpen. Fair, of course, the year that we need linebacker. Arguably going into this draft, linebackers are a big position. There's only 2 outside of this guy that's draftable. Like, there's no steals. You either got to get your guy or not. Seth Thigpen looks pretty damn nice. 4'5", A zone, B pursuit. Wish we knew the tackle. Wish we had a couple more A's on the scoreboard there. But he looks real nice. He's probably my favorite linebacker that I'm going to show you. I like the 40-yard dash. I don't love the fact that he doesn't have elite speed, but he has elite acceleration, elite agility. I love the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle being where it's at. Because my biggest complaint, honestly, at the linebacker spot was agility. It felt like they were just stuck in the mud in that short space. So I don't necessarily have to have like a 90-speed linebacker, but I'd love an agile angel. I love a ballerina back there. Thigpen looks pretty nice. We also have another top potential pick here in Nick Cruz out of Tennessee. Do we love the fact that maybe he's slightly undersized to 5'11"? No. Do we love the fact that he has D block shed? Not so much, even though he's a past coverage archetype. But A pursuit, A tackle, A zone coverage. First, second round talent has elite in acceleration, agility, and speed. I don't love the fact that it's a 4.62. I don't love the fact that, Will and Sam linebackers do tend to be, elite speed on a Will linebacker is not the same as an elite speed on a Mike. But, sometimes you got to trust the elites over the 40-yard dashes. So he's certainly up there as well, but we don't need to focus scout him. The other players we want to take a look at is this guy, Pauly, at safety. Again, safety, linebacker, hybrids, yada, yada, yada. Look at the letters. B hit power, A man, B tackle, B zone, 5'11", 209, 4.49, sub 4.5. Bench press is pretty good. 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. Love the pro day. Numbers are a little bit better. So Lane Pauly is going to be another guy we're going to get focus scouted on. And I think that might have been it. Do we have all three? I think we could, just because this is another first round safety, let's just get Gonzalez here as well. Just to say that we have all of our homework on the top projected safeties. We're going to look at Thigpen, Pauly, and Gonzalez. So off of our 3 focus scouts, I actually kind of messed up. There was a late round corner that it was this guy right here, Reddick, that I really want to focus scout because he has A catching, decent coverage, great athlete, but more importantly, that A tackle, that's kind of been a cheat code for us. But also, I kind of feel like the 3 focus scouts, because we have 2 second-round picks, and obviously that first second-round pick from the Bears is the first pick of the second round, could make the argument it's almost as good as a first-rounder. We need to figure out, are we going to stay put with our 2 seconds, or are we going to be aggressive? And obviously, we're not going to be able to move up and make a top 10 pick, but we be aggressive to move up into the ass end of the first round to maybe get a guy. So I want Gabe Reddick. I don't really have to know that I'm going to take a swing on him anyways on day 3 of the draft. So for our 3 focus scouts, I scouted Gonzalez, the top safety. He's a first, second rounder. So that's okay, good information. Simmons is another player that actually looked pretty decent because he had A tackle, A hit power. If we're looking for just speed, kind of linebacker dudes. We got Pauly, who's a first, second rounder. He'd be a great player to get if we do decide to stay in the second round. There's a scenario where Pauly in the second round and maybe Nick Cruz in the second round. That could be good versus being aggressive to go get a first-round pick. However, Thigpen at linebacker, I kind of had the vibes that he was going to be the best linebacker. He's, at least on paper, the best linebacker. Second, third round projected, but he's a legitimate first-round talent. Has legitimate linebacker size, too. That's something that hasn't really affected us a whole lot. I don't feel like we've been exposed from a run defense standpoint by having undersized linebacker. Jamal Adams has been great. A lot of TFLs. Pierman, who we don't know if he's going to for sure stay at safety or move back, or stay at linebacker or potentially move back to safety. But I never really felt with him either that it was oh man, we're just getting crushed in the run game. But having a legitimate 240-pound linebacker would be pretty good. I don't love the fact that he doesn't have good speed. And chat right now is talking about this. He, off of mock draft 4, was going late first round. So we have the ammunition to potentially trade up if we really think this guy is worth it. I don't know. I would say right now I'm leaning yes. But if you told me I could stay put and get Cruz at linebacker and Pauly at safety, that might be just more swings in general at finding a dude. But let's go right now. Let's go to mock draft 5 and kind of see if any of our guys that we really like are still going in the first round. All right, mock draft 5. Let's see. What do we got here? Bunch of guys that we are not interested in, which is good. It's not like we found a guy that we're absolutely in love with and he is going super high in the draft. I think anything after 20 with our 2 second-round picks could be doable. So we're going down here. We're not interested in the corners. Okay. 28. Seth Thigpen is going in the first round. Jerry Sullivan, another linebacker. We're not in love with him, but he's just good information to have. That a linebacker that did get a little heart from us is also going in the first round. Decisions. So I just had to take a look at our roster here, man. Like, we have decisions to be made. And what I'm thinking right now, we have a lot of options. Could we move Jeremy Chin to linebacker? Well, he played linebacker for us 2 years ago. That worked out. We have Guerrero, who's like a fun pick for us last year's draft. Could he make more of his reps? But he's kind of on the slower side. So what I'm thinking, the vision right now for me is it relies around Thigpen in the draft. We're going to quickly go into the draft. I'm going to sim all the way to pick 28. Hopefully he's still on the board with Atlanta. Then we can make the decision. Because right now, I think we keep Chin at strong safety. We keep Pearman at Mike. Because, you know, it's one of those things where, like, it didn't seem like he had a crazy year, but he missed 4 games. If he would have played all 4 of the games, there's an argument he would have been Defensive Rookie of the Year at linebacker. So I'm thinking we keep Chin at safety, and then at free safety, we have Nails at superstar and Tyke Smith compete. Loser of that battle will be our top depth at safety, which I constantly would see Isaiah Simmons. How many times Isaiah Simmons, who was literally like strong safety 2 on the depth chart, that was it, he had like 3-4 picks for us. He'd always make plays. So that third safety does get on the field, and or they'll operate as like our nickel depth. Like, you can never have enough studs back there. But I think if we do that, Nails and Smith at free safety, Jeremy Chin at strong, Pearman at middle linebacker, and then we have Levy, we have Darian Porter, and we have Sweeney, who we just got in that trade from the Browns at DB. That means linebackers now our biggest need. We could potentially move those 2 seconds to get 28. Or we might even have to give up 2 seconds. I'll look at like a trade calculator because we have the first pick of the second round. So pick 33, I don't know if you have to give up pick 33 and another second, or at least our 2 seconds this year to get 28. We might be able to get 28 for the first pick and then maybe a third next year or something like that. So we can keep one of those seconds and maybe get Cruz at linebacker, get 2 linebackers, or maybe get Pauly and get another safety, get another DB. So I'm leaning that way right now, but we got to get in the draft, and because I don't want to make this trade and then have Thigpen at linebacker go pick 20 or something like that. We're only going to be able to entertain this if he is still on the board at that Falcons pick at 28. All right, we are starting the draft. We'll go through the first couple picks here. Obviously, at this point, because it's not like the first draft that we did. I don't know a lot. We haven't invested a lot of time in a lot of like the top 10 players because of where we know we are. It's never reasonable for us to even talk about those guys. It's like, the Eagles, after winning the Super Bowl, they probably weren't doing a whole lot of homework on Ashton Jeanty, even though he might be the best player and would be a player to know. We'll look at that at draft recap time. But what we're doing right now is we're going to go to pick 27. Because based off of mock draft 5, the linebacker, the only player that I think we would even consider in the first round, he was going at 28 to Atlanta. So what we're going to do is we're going to sim to see if he's still on the board there. That's the first shoe that needs to drop in this scenario. And I just want to see what it would cost to get that pick 28. Because I still think dream scenario for me right now would be staying put in the second round and being able to get Diaz at linebacker and Pauly at safety. Just to kind of get what we have right now in our depth chart. You look at our depth chart right now, we have a lot of guys that could potentially start. I like having that problem. Let the cream rise to the top and have all these guys battle for playing time. Have the guys that actually kind of feel good when we play defense. Maybe more swings at finding those guys that are better than their ratings, because those guys exist every year. I've made a living off of content of finding players in pink slips that are like in the 60s that just play so much better than what their rating is. So I guess the more swings at getting players like that, the potential better. But Thigpen at linebacker, my plums are saying that's, if we want a linebacker, and how I broke down our depth chart is we need a linebacker, I think Thigpen's the guy. But the price has to make sense. But first of all, it's looking pretty good that he might be there at 28. And I'm not seeing a lot of guys that obviously we've been talking about and considering haven't really gone yet. So like the board is looking pretty decent. We got Cologne at guard there, pick 27. The 49ers are going to select Dave Young. We're going to pause the draft. See, I'm playing with fire. I could have been like, I could have got panicked and said, at 25, we got to call the Patriots. We're not bluffing. We're not bluffing. Call Atlanta right now. All right, we got some discussions going on. Okay, pick 28. I've done the calculator. I got the trade value, and I don't want. I want to overpay in all my trades. I do not want to try to look for the most value trade. I feel like I need to punish myself for wanting to trade up. I want the linebacker. We only got to move up 5 spots. I was like, all right, let's throw in a fourth because pick 28 off the Rich Hill trade value meter, whatever the hell you want to call it. 28 is worth 209 points. What I have offered with 33 and 104 is 213 points. Didn't take it. I get it. They're not going to give it for value. The one thing we had in chat was like I threw on a 5th in 2030. So this is one of those ones like, does this get it done? I could live with this one. Some people are saying we're overpaying the overpay. I would live if they accepted this. And they do not. I want him so bad! What about this? What about a 3rd next year? And they give me a 4th next year. 4th and 3rd round picks don't really make a whole difference to me. That accept? No. What if a 2, 3, and a 4 for a 1 and 4? Call 29. I wish they had better cap room. Oh. I could... I think I can live with that. A 4th and a 3rd, assuming that like we're gonna be good again. Our 3rd round pick. Atlanta's not a perennial playoff contender, even though Mike Penix is playing better. I don't think there's gonna be a huge discrepancy. That might be the difference of like 10 to 15 picks in that one there. So that I'd be like, I'm losing a 4th this year, which I don't love, but this should probably get it off. Oh, you bastards! Air swoosh. Future 1st and 3rd. Keep the 2nds this year. With the 5. Future, like what? How future of a 1st? Like kick the can down the road? Like our 1st round pick next year. And then our 3rd round pick this year. We just had a $5 dono come in. I could kick this can down the road if this is what we're doing. I can live with that. Now, does that put us in a hole next year? I think, and I saw in chat, Kane, we're going to have pick 32 next year. So that 1st round pick next year, what's the difference between pick 32 next year when we win the Super Bowl and pick 33 this year? I can live with this. It puts a lot of pressure. I think I like this from the standpoint of, I still think in hindsight, keeping those 2 seconds, getting that cruise guy at linebacker, getting Paulie at safety, getting those 2 guys in a perfect world, I think I'd probably rather that. If it was stress-free and they fell to us at those picks. But that's just us getting like the 2 kind of good guys we like. None of them were like legit first-rounders, but 2 guys that I think myself and Chad can kind of agree on. Not a lot of risk in that. So when you have first-world problems that we have as a roster here in Vegas, by making this trade, we have to be good, okay? We have to at least like go as far as we did last year so that 1st round pick in 2029 is like pick 28, pick 29, pick 30. And the fact that we kept pick 33, like not a gigantic discrepancy between like that value portion because we're not going to suck. So that 2029 1st round pick, it's not like I just gave them a pick that, oh, it could be a top 10 pick. Not going to happen unless, you know, an absolute injury crisis happens. But this pressure now means one of 2 things. It means 1, we have to be good next year. So that 1st round pick it's a non-factor between comparing that to our second round pick that we currently hold, which is pick 1 in the second round. 2, this guy got to be good. Because if I would have stayed put and got Cruz at linebacker and Paulie at safety, and they're both dev trait players, and this guy could be normal. This could be a normal dev linebacker that we just made a needless trade for. But I like the pressure because if it is, that's sick. If it's not, you get to watch me fail. Let's keep it here live. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a good player. I'll be very upset if he's not. But, man, Cruz is even... Like, that's one of those weird ones. Man, I think we could get both. We could get 2 birds stoned at once if we wanted to. But Thigpen, I think it's the guy. And we also, within this whole thing, we haven't once acknowledged the fact that we are talking about a position that just isn't valuable and worth a first-round pick in today's NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people discuss, do I trade up into the first round to get, like, this kind of sick developmental quarterback? Or maybe there's, like, a gimmicky, like, 99 speed running back or wide receiver. Or maybe there's, like, a cheesy 6'4", 4.3 speed corner. You don't really do this for linebackers in today's NFL. Please be good. I mean, as long as we see a blue dev trait, I think I'll be fine with it. Because at least we got the chase, and we won't be peeking and changing his number and accidentally seeing his dev trait if he has one. And if he has a normal dev trait, plug your ears in a second. There we go, Thigpen. Wonder if he's any relation to Tyler. First page, very good. Seth Thigpen, ranked number 7 in true value at pick 28. A awareness, C block shed could be better. A catching, who cares? A finesse, A hit power. B man, A play rec, B power, B pursuit, B tackle, probably rather A tackle, A zone coverage. Does he have the dev trait? Drum roll, please. I feel like he does. Yeah, I feel like he's going to be normal. Yeah, okay. Hey, there we go. Now, I love the acceleration. And my complaint, I don't love the 87 speed, especially because we're looking at Trevin Wallace, who had 89 speed. But I literally said, I don't know if I recorded it for the video. My issue at linebacker, I think it's like an acceleration and agility thing. It's that short yardage. It's not like I'm complaining about my linebacker downfield, like trying to catch someone that ran past him. I need that sideline to sideline. I need that, maybe, I don't know, 78 change of direction is like low. But I mean, he had first in the 20-yard and the shuttle. I like this one. I think change of direction could be better, but I think that acceleration and agility, we got the dev trait. I can at least live with it. And now we get to see if he's going to be good or not. Last year, we drafted a superstar linebacker. Can we do it back-to-back years? And the good news is we're going to be back on the clock not too long with the first pick of the second round. All right, so what we did for the first pick of the second round, I had to put it up to a poll. My gut was saying get Thigpen in the first round. That was the right call. I have no idea what to. We have 2 players. Nick Cruz looks real good. A pursuit, A tackle, A zone coverage, elites in acceleration, agility, and speed. Now, that's elites for Will, which tends to be a little less athletic than like if that was a Mike. He looks good. I'd like to have him on the team. I'd like to have that depth. I'd like to just more swings at finding our stud linebacker that we need, which is our one big position. But we also have Paulie at safety. Paulie at safety, someone came with the argument. This was a poll. 53% voted for Paulie in this option. We have AJ with the 499 saying Levy belongs at free safety. Find a corner for depth. Grab Cruz at linebacker. Then take a wide receiver and D tackle. Have Chin play your sub linebacker and Tyke at strong safety. I don't hate that. But what we have here, the argument, and I said I was going with the poll. That's very valid. Was if we look at our roster as a whole, The one player that's kind of regressing was Chin. Chin regressed. We lost 2 overall points on him, even though we gained a superstar dev. So if we keep Chin at safety, Paulie could be his natural successor. The letter grades on Paulie are pretty damn good as well. Almost as good as Cruz. A-man coverage. That is the number one thing that like makes me think I've drafted enough guys that have A, that, you know, dev traits usually don't fall too far behind. Athletic speaking, I mean, not a freak. You'd love to see elites. Like acceleration only being decent. Our whole mantra this year was to get faster. I think we got to go with the pull. Above all, AJ made a valid argument. I think we go Paulie. I think we go DB. I think we have too many issues to deal with. And who's saying we still can't find a way to get Cruz and get everyone and make everybody happy? But there we go. We're going to go with the poll. Almost 400 people in chat. I'm going to trust the chat. I'm going to fact if this is a bad pick, it's the 53% said Paulie to 37% said Cruz. What do we got here? 36 in true value at 33. Already, I can live with that, but not. He's not Thigpen, where we get number 7. Well, then we look at the letter grades here. B awareness, he's just kind of good at everything. B awareness, B block shed, B catching, A man, B play rec, B pursuit, B tackle, B zone, mint suit. Dev trait. What do we got? We got 90 speed. Oh, the acceleration kind of sucks. But, I mean, as a safety, I'd probably rather more speed than acceleration. I can live with that. So we played Russian roulette here. I was like, I talked through with chat. I'm trying to make everybody happy. I was like, Cruz is kind of the last player that people in chat want. I want him. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just avoiding him like the plague. The A's are there. Everything looked good. So we're like, where do we think? I have pick 62 in the second round. So you can see at the bottom of the board. On the trade value chart that we're following, it's worth 84 points. So for us to like trade that in a future pick for like not overpay value, I was targeting pick 45 with the Jags. But I said right now we'll sim right to pick 40 with the Chicago Bears. And then maybe we start making some calls. Maybe we look at overpaying a little bit. And then it was like, well, how far do we sim? We're going to play this like pick by pick by pick by pick. Cruz was the 3rd rated will linebacker. And this is usually like a method like when I'm rebuilding. I was like, all right, if I want the 3rd will, usually the first guy will go before your kind of value guy. So as soon as that first will went off the board, we would adjust accordingly. Of course it's the Dallas Cowboys. They just ignore the rankings. And they get I don't want to say he was our guy. We passed on him twice. But they get a guy that I was pretty much willing to make almost, all the people in chat that wanted him. I was going to try to make that happen. Just so we all got a guy. We did it last year with Guerrero at linebacker, who obviously Cruz would probably come in and replace. And then of all the teams, the only way it would have been more annoying if he would have went in the division. So write that down. Jot that down. Cruz, at the end of the draft, we got to go see what kind of player Dallas just got. So we're in the second round, and didn't love the board. Couple picks, couple guys. No one really in chat was fall in love with any of the board. Neither was I. So I thought maybe it's time to accumulate more picks. So we have more chances at hitting home runs, hitting dingers. The Jets offered us, it was like a 3, a 5, and a 7 or something like that. 3, 5, and 7 for my number 2. I did the math. I'm doing all trade value. Our pick right there, the second round, is worth 84 points. And the Jets' original pick was worth 81. I wasn't going to shortchange that. So I was like, all right, if I'm doing this, you're going to overpay. So what we got from the Jets is they offered and they sent me 91 points for my 84. So that's what I'm overpaying because that's what they need to entice me. And to make things a little bit even, I give them pool, a 72, 23-year-old corner developmental. That's a guy that, like, that's good depth to have. He was surplus for us because we have obviously added a whole lot of pieces into our secondary. But we're not to get this trade across the line, and we're moving back out of the second. And let's see what kind of damage we can do with that third and fourth round pick. Plus the extra seventh, we got a bunch of targets that are UDFA grades. That'll be nice to steal before we have them get poached, because we don't get the first dibs for the good UDFAs anymore. All right, we are back on the clock. Third round after trading out of the second. And we have options. I kind of, with the stream, kind of mapped out how I think things could go down. We have, out of all the, in terms of like the players that we want, Reddick at corner is a guy that we've identified we want. He's a protected UDFA, so I think we can get a DB there. If we're looking at the available linebackers that we liked, Hardy was the one that stood out, but again, it's another UDFA guy. We like him just because he has the double A's. Like, okay, that could be just pure depth. We're probably drafting a special teamer at that point. Needs, because we traded Javon Dexter, D-tackle is kind of important, and there's 2 D-tackles we like right here. It is, yes, nose tackle cheese, but we have Matthias, who has B-power move, and like just wild agility numbers. That 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle for a 350-pounder is kind of terrifying, but he looks good. Don't have to get him in the third round. He should be there next round. Or we have Contreras, the nose tackle from Tennessee. All B's across the board, and he has that first place bench press from the combine, and his 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle second. He's probably the guy I'm leaning. I don't think we have to reach for him in the third round. Other positions that we like, at right guard, we have a couple dudes that look nice in Ezekiel, Randall, and Foster. But again, looking at the range, don't have to invest a third-round pick. At center, Silva, that has the A-pass block, A-pass block footwork. UDFA grade again. So like that's why I'm happy that we now have a 6th and 2 7th. Should be able to hopefully grab a couple, if not all these guys, and clear the board. But we did trade Jack Betch at wide receiver. He did get on the field. Like, he was a guy, I think he still had 20 catches. So like that production needs to get replaced in a way. And having a legitimate round 1 talent scouted here in Jamichael Burns just feels like, for where we're at in the third round, he clearly probably has some off-the-field issues, is what people are saying. I think this is just getting the best value. I think we can get him here and then get a D-tackle in the next round and get Reddick at corner in the next round. But I don't think we can get Burns in the next round. So I think in that logic, we're going to go BPA, trust the board. I think we are due for a nice rating. So getting someone that scouted as a round 1, like a normal dev. And I feel like this guy could be that. But I'll be happy if it's a star. I'll be happy if it's a superstar. I'll be cheesing if it's an X factor. But welcome to the squad. Jamichael Burns, 13th in true value, getting him at 76. Powerhouse with 49 strength, but look, we get 93 acceleration, 98 agility, 97 change of direction, that 88 speed contact. But he's a slot guy. He's going to be big Mitch Howard's depth and backup, and a guy that 100% we just need him to be a guy that can win in the middle of the field. But for a slot wide receiver, that looks pretty nasty for a third-round pick. All right, we need to make another trade. It's not like a crazy trade. We're waiting for a D-tackle to fall to pick 104. We had 2 D-tackles that we liked, Matthias and Contreras. Contreras got severely overdrafted by the Rams, and I was kind of saying in chat, like, we're going to sim pick by pick, and as soon as one of those D-tackles goes, we got to make a move. Philadelphia is on the clock, and their top need is D-tackle. Now, if I now wanted to trade, I wanted to throw a player in. I was like, all right, let's not give up any more picks. Like, let's trade up that 4th that I hope the D-tackle would fall to, and then throw a player in. And, of course, Philadelphia's salary cap, the Wizard of Howie Roseman, does not translate to Madden. They are $14 million in the red. So if I had to be super aggressive, what could I live with? I'm like, can I maybe throw a 5th in? Do I have a 5th way back here in 2030? Like, can I do a 4, 5, and a 7? Would that be enough to get this third rounder? No. So let's see if I do a 4, and a 7. I can live with this. And I think come 2030, when I do that draft and probably forget that I made this trade, I'll probably hopefully look at Contreras, the D-tackle that we're going to go get, and be pretty damn happy that we have him because we need that Javon Dexter depth replacement. All right, we're back on the clock. Let's go. I think we all know, a guarantee with how this draft's gone, Contreras was going to be gone. Philly was going to draft him, so let's go get him. 4 Bs, 6'2", 350, nose tackle cheese, first place bench press, first place in the 3-cone and 20-yard shell, so he's probably going to have like 80 sub-acceleration. This is our Javon Dexter replacement. Feeling pretty good about it. And we still have our ammunition here. I think the next pick needs to be Riddick at corner. I think we really like the look of his makeup. I think he could be a player for us, some depth. But Contreras, we need that D tackle. Our D-line has some good rotation, and we get number 38 in true value. B awareness, B block shed, B finesse move, B tackle, B power, B play rec. Yes! Let's go, baby. All dev traits, all goddamn day. 95 strength, 81 acceleration. Nick Contreras, welcome to the Vegas Raiders. So with our 4th round pick at 108, looking at our favorite list, we got, in terms of like draftable players still, we have Ezekiel Randall at guard, a pass block guard that has not great bench press. Elite change of direction does look pretty good. But we do still have more day 3 picks. I think the one guy that stood out above all, and again, it's, depending on how we move our DBs around. DB's not necessarily a need, but if we can get another hit at DB, it's going to be nice. Gabe Riddick, 6 feet, 200 pounds, so that looks like just like a DB. Guy can play anywhere. A catching, C man, C press, 4.39. I think we just don't even think about UDFA grade, sure, whatever. I think A tackle, that's how we hit on Nails. That's how we hit on Kitchens last year. We just got A tackle corners, tend to be studs. And when the faster they are, the better they are. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off, get Riddick, and then hope that the board falls to us for the 6th and 7th round picks. 78 at 108. So for a guy that we just got right away as a UDFA, we feel good. I don't love the fact that it says concerns about his speed. He ran a 4.3. Gabe Riddick. I'm not going to lie. I drafted you because you had A tackle and you ran 4.39. C-man's not bad. C-press not bad. Speed's not a problem. I'm not concerned about that speed. 91 speed. I mean, it could be better. It's not a problem. That's a UDFA guy. Dev trait UDFA guy. With the help of you guys and myself, sniffed him out. Good job, chat. All right, so we sibbed. We did no more traits. Well, that I thought. We had 2 players that we really liked, and they went one on top of another. We need a guard. I want another interior lineman. Ezekiel Randall looked real good. He goes to the Vikings. Overdrafted. That guy was a day 3 pick. Foster was not my number 1 target. If Foster was still on the board, I'm running that pick up to the podium at 190. He was a UDFA grade player. He goes 173 to the Jags, which sucks. That is, 2 players I thought for sure that would still be available. But the good news is for an interior lineman, we have Jesse Silva. Like, I'm probably relation to Tim the Animal Silva. Anderson Silva. Like Sylvia was Sylvia, that's what. Anyways. He looks good. Now, maybe a little undersized at 6'2", 291. But A pass block, A awareness. We did get like a cheap bargain dev trait center already. The more the merrier to kind of add to this. This guy's a powerhouse. 2nd strongest bench press. Elites in agility and change of direction. I think we're just kind of viewing this as going BPA on the interior. Jesse Sylvia. I have a feeling our dev trait streak is going to stay. Could be wrong. I mean, we are due for a normal dev. And in last year's draft class, we had a couple wet fart normal dev picks. But now at this point, when you get into day 3, you kind of want to run the board of dev traits and try to get a complete dev trait class, which we have yet to do. Sylvia could also be normal. And if he's normal, the fact that we got at 190, almost a top 50 player in the class, I can live with that. Jesse Silva, A awareness, B lead block, A pass block finesse, B pass block power. I want to be optimistic and say there's a chance that run block and run block finesse aren't Fs. We ain't losing tonight. Dev trade player, great athlete. Now, he's a little bit undersized at under 300 pounds. That'll do. All right, boys, we got 2 picks left in the 7th round. We are trying, with help of chat. Don't ever think that I'm just trying to, like, cheese it myself. We've had almost 400 people that are also trying to help me dominate these drafts. So if you think we're going too overpowered every year, bring it up with these savages. But we have 2 picks remaining to go the whole class of dev traits, which I don't think we've done. Our year 1 class was pretty good, but I think we had a couple normal devs. We have Hardy was tabbed up here, the 3rd Hardy boy, just because he stuck out a little bit. We're looking at linebackers. A pursuit, A tackle stands out. Nothing crazy from a combine standpoint. The vertical jump, the bench press ain't bad. 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle are pretty decent, all things considered. But at this point, when you're UDFA, what stands out? And he is the only player that has A tackle and A pursuit at linebacker left. We have him scouted as a day 3 talent, so we know he's not a bust. I think we go, chat is saying Hardy. This was a chat find. And with our second to last pick, can we keep the UD? I think we have a, I don't know. I say 50-50. Which for guys in the 7th round, that's not too bad. What do we got here? Mark Hardy, 125 in true value. So, like, not a bad pick regardless. We got B play rec, A pursuit, A tackle. It'd be funny if he had, like, hit powers up there. Got one more to go. Mark Hardy, the Hardy boy. 84 acceleration, 84 speed. Chat with the assist on this one. Another dev trait, and we have a chance to run the whole table. One more pick to go, and I mean, we're gonna cheese it as cheesy as we can. So if you're looking at our roster, our final pick of this draft, AJ Cole's getting up there in age. He's an expensive punter. This might be a useless pick, but in the spirit of trying to run the board, we have Manny Guerrero here from Alabama, trying to just roll over and get all dev trait players for a whole class. It doesn't get any easier than this. A kick accuracy, A awareness, and do you guys think he has elite kick power by any chance? Yeah, like he might be P squad. Oh my God, they're fighting in Detroit and KC. What's going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, with our 8th pick of the draft, 7 for 7. Air swoosh in chat, keeping track. 7 for 7 dev trait. The 8th pick, a generational punter. A first rounder, Manny Guerrero, number 32 in true value. Fuck! All right. 7 of our 8 picks end up being hidden dev traits. Now, we have reports in chat that the draft recap is still broken, which sucks. If we click into a player, we can't see it. But here is the board, ladies and gentlemen. Seth Thigpen, the man that we decided, more so I decided, to say, let's go get him. Let's go get the only linebacker that we had scouted as a legit first rounder. 78. Stud. We got Pauly, who we are going to have to go look at the linebacker crews. That was really the tiebreaker there. We went Pauly. It was a contested pick in chat, but one that I trusted the poll. The poll said Pauly, 74 with the dev. We got the dev trait. I think the big hurdle with this pick was, is he dev or not? And with the fact that we rolled a dev trait, let's keep going. We got Burns. That was just based off of pure scouting. He was a legitimate first rounder. He is a 77 with a dev trait. We got aggressive Contreras. We need to find a D tackle after we traded Javon Dexter. We were aggressive to go get our guy, 74 with a dev trait. Riddick was always the S tier premier day 3 pick in this draft. An A tackle, 4-3 speed corner. Just best player available, depth. We don't necessarily know how our secondary is going to shape up. We're going to have a lot of moving pieces here between the preseason and week 1. We have got to figure out our safeties and linebackers and get the best, ideally most athletic players on the field. You can't go wrong with Gabe Reddick's 72 dev trait. We get Silva at center. This was kind of like a, oh my God. We wanted guards. The guards went out the board. We pivot to the best looking center that was still available. 73 with a dev trait. Chat came in with the assist here. Mark Hardy was a player that when you just kind of looked through the draft class, I don't know who it was. By all means, take credit in the chat. They said, take a look at that Hardy guy. He had the double A's, UDFA. We had him scouted as a day 3 talent, but the double A's stuck out like a sore thumb, and I can't preach that enough. When you are blind picking, if anybody has like first, top 3, top 5 in any of the athletic testing, if they have any A's and anything somewhat relevant to the position, that's how you make the blind pick. And Hardy, 69 with a dev trait. And then somehow, when we're trying to go for the perfect draft, Manny Guerrero, who had all the markings of a generational punter, A awareness, A kick accuracy, elite kick power, 75, was a first-round talent, 32nd player in the class, no dev trait, spoiling this whole freaking thing. It's a pit, that's honestly, it's kind of a piss off. But there's our class. I think our year 1 class is probably still the GOATed of all the classes. Year 2 was a solid class. I think this class, I have a little bit more hype around this class than I did after last year's, and that's exactly what we need because free agency wasn't crazy. Our biggest move in this offseason was making that trade to get the DB Sweeney from the Browns and adding him to our secondary, right? So we had to come up with this draft. We put the pressure on ourselves for Thigpen to be a stud, making that trade. He is exactly that. And we need these guys to get on the field and be the difference maker between us winning and losing that AFC Championship game come next year. All right, so the final 2 things we got to do in this offseason, we kind of just collaborated with Chad here. We went and got all of the names of like the shortlist players we didn't get. We're going to go look at that, look at the players that we missed, and then we are going to finish up this video by going looking at some UDFAs and see if we can find any hidden dev steals. So one of the players, we have Manu Gonzalez. He was a safety that we had scouted that was a first, second rounder that the whole time we're like, do we draft him, do we not draft him? I didn't love his athletic ability. I thought he was a little like, yeah, very much felt like a sub 90 speed player, but he's a 74 with a dev trait that we thought about and passed on a bunch of times. It's never really a realistic selection. Okay, sick to know, sick to know. When it comes to defensive tackle, we had Matthias and Contreras were the 2. We always liked Contreras, but Matthias was certainly an option, and if Contreras went when Matthias went, he would have been our pick. We would have been trading up for him. Glad that didn't work out. Normal dev player. Ezekiel Randall was probably our number 1 interior lineman. He was draftable, wasn't UDFA grade. He goes and got overdrafted, fair to say, maybe slightly by the Vikings. That was a good pick by the Vikings. 74 hidden dev on Ezekiel Randall. And he has a... Fuck! No! Going back to the second round, we have actually 2 players we got to take a look at Miami. They had a good draft. Jacoby Mullins was a wide receiver that we had scouted as a round 1 wide receiver. 77 dev trait here. I still can't believe we had 2 superstar players that we passed on. That's great. Mullins, please don't. Okay, at least it's a start. It's a little bit, easier to deal with. So we talked about Gonzalez, was that first, second round graded safety that we had scouted. Chat also liked this guy. He was the other number 2 safety. Eric Simmons, also going to the Dolphins. He is a dev trait. So this was a good one for the chat to sniff out because I didn't really have him anywhere on my board. And we did draft a safety over him. We drafted Pulley. Damn. Good one, chat. Carver Hall, when we were like not 100% sure what to do at linebacker, he was another guy who looked interested. Just a normal dev here. Still a nice pick there for the Jets. Ben Foster at guard. He was, I think, if we had all things equal, all those guards. Even though we now know Randall, who we did have on our short list, was a superstar. I think if him and the center that we did draft, all these guys were available, I think Foster would have been my pick. He is a 73 with the dev trait. Gets the dev trait. It's probably not going to be a superstar to equal Randall, but you never know. It's only a star. But here's the biggest one. The number 1 most polarizing player. We went with, now knowing what we know, we went with a safety that could, kind of do everything. Knowing now that a safety that was kind of kicked around in chat was an X factor that we didn't even really have on. Like, that's where we got to get better. I'm not going to be happy till I have a 100% perfect draft. And a 100% perfect draft, we would have somehow knew that Simmons, even though he had kind of slow speed, was incredible. We had to make him the pick. I made a mistake there. We're going to learn. But the whole debate, I was trying to trade back up to get this guy, Nick Cruz at linebacker. There was enough people that said we don't trade up for Thigpen. We now know Thigpen at 78 dev trait. In comparison, Nick Cruz 74. But we have enough people in chat, especially after seeing that the Simmons safety was an X factor, they think Cruz is going to be an X factor. We have got to... This is the drum roll because this is the guy. This is the one guy. This is either going to be the biggest mistake and tarnish this whole draft because we could have just stayed put with those 2 seconds, or we made the right call. Nick Cruz, 5'11", 230, Tennessee. He looks, I love the 90 agility. I love the 90 acceleration. I would have found a way to salvage this pick and be happy with this pick. But for the pick that so many people wanted, we at least made the right call. Even if Thigpen, we know he's a depth trade, even if it's only a start. And we did all that trades and traded a future first to get just kind of like a solid linebacker. It was either that or stay put with our 2 seconds and get Cruz and the safety that we ended up getting anyways. And while Cruz does look nice, let's just say, let's review it in a vacuum. If you just told me I got a 74 normal dev linebacker, but he has 90 agility, 90 acceleration, 86 speed, 80 tackle, 80 pursuit, 73 zone, like he had that A zone coverage, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be disgusted. But we made the right call. Let's go. All right, now it's time. One of the funnest things at the end of our stream, we go through the UDFAs, try to find some studs. I'll sign some other guys. This is the P squad. Don't really need to make it the video, but we got Mac Burris here, a future starter, 21 years old, 68 dev trait out of SMU. Decent speed. Welcome to the squad. We got another one here in Cole Whitfield at defensive tackle. Come on down. Nose tackle cheese. Can never have enough. So we're just kind of talking about, like, I'm not necessarily speed running this, but the kind of tells you have to click on every single player is if in their tags they have future starter. In the UDFAs, you just go my practice squad eligible. They almost always have a dev trait. But like we're just looking here at right edge. I was like, oh man, both these guys actually for like 270, 80 plus speed looks good. This guy here, Kirk Raynow, 6'6", 273 from LSU. No future starter tag, but he has a dev trait. So it's not a flawless system. It's still, if you really want to put the time and effort in and look at every single UDFA, there might still be a couple surprises for you. All right, that will do it. Off-season number 3 is in the books. We had about 400-ish. I think we peaked at like high 4s. Appreciate each and every one of you guys coming in and spending a Sunday night, like kind of a weird time, right? We're going to compete against the football game, the Lions and Chiefs, here on a long weekend. Gotta sleep in a little bit. It's almost 1 a.m. on a Monday here. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Canadians that maybe watch. I'm going to try to get this out to you guys on Monday. It's a holiday, kind of an easy upload for me. But what a draft, man. 7 out of 8 picks with dev traits. We found a couple nice dev trait UDFA players. Feeling good, man. I don't want to say we have to. Really want to win a Super Bowl next year. If this was a rebuild, not my main channel, and this is what my team looked like going into year 4 of my rebuild, if I didn't get this, I would be so mad. That, like, how are we not? What more do I need to do? Right? But now that I'm playing the games and I'm very much a hindrance to my team more often than not, certainly adds a challenge. But we feel great about the offensive line. We get a dev trait center. We love it. The wide receiver room, we got Burns, who, once I'm done this with chat, people want to see what this Burns guy could look potentially at running back. We got Anthony Richardson, because why not? As a potential weapon for this offense, if not just great backup quarterback. Defense is where we went, and we got a bunch of who the hell knows what this defense is going to look like next time. We bring in Thigpen, first-round linebacker. We get Hardy late. dev trait linebacker. We get Pulley at DB. We get Tyke Smith in free agency. We made a trade. We get Sweeney at corner. Does that make Nails a safety? We go ahead. We make a big trade. We lose Javon Dexter. We bring in Contreras, a 74 dev trait defensive tackle. But now the pressure's on. Kirkland and Bowden need to step up as starters. But what we have here is a team, I think we could say Super Bowl or bust. There's no I'm the weakness. That is where we're at. I am the weakness of this team. Everything else is in place for this team to go on and have another 12, 13, 14 plus win season and to go compete for a Super Bowl. We're going to do it. I'm going to find a way. I'm going to make sure we don't suck ass. I'm going to find a way. We had chat for a half hour. We min-maxed all the abilities, all the X factors, all the talent. We're going to be ready to go. So with that, thank you very much for everybody that tuned into the stream to watch Offseason number 3. Thank you, everybody that couldn't make the stream. I hope you're enjoying this recap video. If it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the stream in chat. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying, on top of this, on top of getting in to the next year of Raiders franchise, realistic rebuilds are coming. Madden 26 this week. I cannot wait to drop them. It's a new era. We're ready to go. And, yeah, until that time, till next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace and love ya. Have a good one.